I was all Pelican yesterday. I had all my Pelican. I had a hat on. I had a sweatshirt on.
I'm rocking my Pelican hat right now.
You are. You got your Pelican Brewing Company hat on. Did you know that they are bringing you today's Daily Ticker?
Are they?
Brought to you by Pelican Brewing.
I
You can
heard.
experience their hops differently with Pelican's new Hard Hops Blackberry Seltzer. Infused with Strata hops and made with real blackberries. Hard Hops are available now at a store near you. Joining us now is the good Ryan Clarke, as we like to call him. Ryan T. Clarke on Twitter. That's where you can find him. He covers Oregon State for the Oregonian. Are you ready for flying tortillas this weekend, Ryan?
Well, it sounds like you guys might have snapped the ball a little early before after that ad was running, but yeah, I'm ready to get hit in the face with tortillas. Why not? With how this season's gone.
Now, what is your favorite thing to do with a tortilla, Ryan Clarke? What is your favorite tortilla-based
You go burrito,
meal?
you go quesadilla. What's the go-to?
So my wife Emma makes a mean quesadilla. Gotta give her credit there. But in general, we love to cook breakfast burritos on the weekends. You get a little chorizo from Olympia Provisions. Chop that up with some mushrooms, some potatoes, some eggs and cheese. That's fire right
Now,
there.
I don't want to poo-poo this, okay? So please don't take this the wrong way. We all love our wives. Quesadilla always comes off as like a fairly easy thing to make. What is it about your wife's quesadilla that's so special?
Yeah, she knows the way to my heart, or rather the way to clogging my heart, and that's to throw butter in the pan and fry that thing. That's the way that God intended.
Yeah.
So she's got that down, and honestly, it's about as simple as it gets for sure. But it's something that she's got down. I for a long time was pretty inept when it came to cooking, and that changed, of course, when we met. And one of the first things I had to figure out was the quesadilla, which somehow I did not figure out how to flip it properly. And I was a sheltered kid. What can I say?
Absolutely, you were. You need to try a breakfast quesadilla, by the way. Underrated.
Yeah, I would say the quesadilla is one that even if you like throw two tortillas together with some cheese and put it in the microwave, it's still good. Like the
100%.
The floor of the quesadilla is very high.
I agree.
To where a lot of people could say, I know how to make a good quesadilla, because all quesadillas are good quesadillas. So tortillas will be flying. Oregon State's in Lubbock. Before we get to that game, first couple of weeks have been rough, Ryan, and I think that's a pretty obvious statement. The opening game against Cal, you could say, all right, we got shredded by a young quarterback who might go on to be a freshman All-American, and made a little comeback, and then some turnovers piled up. Going to week 2 is a pivotal moment, it felt like, for Trent Bray. And between the snapping of the football on special teams and the amount of penalties that piled up on offense, just where are we at from an overall program standpoint right now? Because this seems about as dark and depressing for the fan base as it has been since the Gary Anderson days.
Yeah, obviously, the feeling in the fan base is that this is sort of a sky is falling type of situation, and I don't blame them for feeling that way, frankly. It's these first 2 games were crucial for Oregon State. You think about the difficulty of the 2 games coming up at Tech and then at Oregon. Everybody had basically penciled those in as losses, and for them to have started the season not even just losing these games, but losing them in a fashion that sort of gives you this debilitating, depressed feeling about the state of the program. You lose the first game in a way that that you feel like doesn't live up to your expectations for the team. They get down 14-0 early. It's against a freshman quarterback. You don't get after him. You don't do a lot of the things on offense that you had advertised before the season, and you flub that up. Then you have the absolute most basic aspect of your team, a crucial aspect, as we now know, part of your team, in not being able to snap the ball, like not having a viable long snapper when your number one guy goes down. And I understand it was a mental thing. I understand Jackson Robertson was dealing with what us golfers may know as the yips in that game. But my God, I mean, you can't derive a more embarrassing way for the program to display itself on national television than what happened with that game against Fresno State. Not just the fact that Bray lost his cool and was cussing on national TV and got flack for that, but that specific area of the team's performance, when in reality, in the other phases, they were pretty solid, especially on offense. It creates this atmosphere of sort of devastation right now, and they're staring down 0-4.
Yeah, that last attempt, when it was 4th and 20, I'm like, what are you doing? Just go for it at this point. And then, of course, he bad snap, and then Kidd misses the kick. It made no sense what was happening. There's been a lot of noise about Bray and state of the program. In-game has been a big deal for the fans, and complaints and attendance has been pretty dreadful. Do you think they're hearing this noise in the athletic department, or do you think they're just ignoring it and acting as if it's no big deal and business as usual? Because it's pretty loud this week, it feels like, about just the state of the athletic department and specifically how they're handling game day operations and what's happening on the field with the coaching staff.
Yeah, I think there is something to be said for the stagnant nature of how the Oregon State Athletic Department has handled certain things. You can certainly give a lot of credence to the fact that the athletic director, Scott Barnes, has been very much caught up in essentially by himself rebuilding the Pac-12 conference alongside those who were left. But his duties as athletic director have certainly been front of mind for him, and I know for sure that he's somebody that's not happy about the way things are going for this football team. And as far as the structure and the operations of the Oregon State Athletic Department go, I mean that's the feeling among fans, is that they have to knock the cobwebs off of some of this stuff if they are going to navigate the future of college football, and in particular college sports in general. They have to be more forward-thinking. They can't be as stuck in the mud. And if things aren't going well in the number one revenue generator and the thing that carries everything else along with it in football, there is certainly more pressure for potential changes to be made there.
So let me ask you there. So they brag about a war chest, right? They win this lawsuit, and they're like, look at our war chest. We got all this money. I don't know what the money is for outside of just self-preservation for decades to come, other than if they do start 0-5, if they drop this weekend, lose to Oregon, and then lose to Houston, who, by the way, is favored at Colorado. I don't know how good they are, but I'm assuming they're going to come into Corvallis and be favored. If they start 0-5, do you have any intel or read that there's a real shot that that could be it for Bray? Like, would they make that kind of move, or do you think they just ride out the wave of whatever that season becomes?
Yeah, I don't have anything specific by way of intel on that front just yet, but I will say that would definitely put Oregon State in a more difficult position deciding whether to move forward on the Bray experiment, because at that point, if they just start 0-4, he's 1-11 in his last 12 games. 0-5 would be 1-12. Like that. Oof. That is so far below what this program wants to achieve, and so far below what they need to achieve, frankly, in order to navigate these next few years of transition. I don't care what's happening with the rebuilding of the Pac-12. If that's your state, you're not even competitive in that conference, which is a clearly more watered down version of this conference. So there's a lot for them to unpack there, and could it happen? Could they make a move during the season? Yes. But I right now would lean towards it not happening during the season if I had to guess.
Interesting. We're talking with Ryan Clarke of the Oregonian, our good friend, covering the Beavers as they take on Texas Tech this week. And at Ryan T. Clarke on Twitter is where you can go find him. You've had some reporting on the Exodus Era situation where he just randomly doesn't play in week one. Everybody's like, wait, what's going on here? And Oregon State will not acknowledge anything that's going on with injuries. And we joked earlier this week about, that would have been helpful for people going into last week knowing the long snapper was hurt instead of turning the game on and wondering why is the first PAT snap at the 50-yard line, because it's not something that we were expecting. So talking about this stuff sometimes can help Trent Bray look a little bit better or change a perspective going into the game. Do we know anything about what the status is? I know you tried to ask him this week. I heard in the press conference he gave you nothing. So I'm assuming it is a no. And then another impossible question, but I'm curious because you're close to this, is this a team that fights this weekend? Is this a roll over and die? We're going on the road and we get down big early. It's a bloodbath. What's your read on the game this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, as far as personnel and as far as availability, your guess is as good as mine at this point. Like I was able to report this week in talking to the Pac-12. Pac-12 is the only conference in the country not producing availability reports. That includes the G5 schools and all the Power 4 schools. Even Notre Dame released one, and they don't have to. They can do whatever they want.
They included Shane Gillis on an availability report going into the Miami game. They even made a joke out of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's comedians' availability that we know more about than Oregon State football players' availabilities, and that has more to do for a lot of people, with gambling and for people like me in the media bitching about it because we have to figure out who's playing and who isn't. But it does matter to fans too, and it matters to people other than us. I don't know anything about Ayers' availability at this point. I know that his civil case was dropped in the situation where he's being accused of domestic violence. That stalking civil case was dropped because the woman didn't show up to the hearing, and there is still a criminal investigation ongoing with the Corvallis Police Department. Exodus Ayers is the number one cornerback for them, and somebody that could help out a secondary that could use it. They're starting a true freshman in Trey Glasper there, who I think has done well, but they're going to need everybody they can get against this Texas Tech team. And you talk about that matchup, like this is an uphill battle. This game, I think, could not have come at a worse time for Oregon State. This is a very high-powered Texas Tech offense, which say what you will about what's gone well for the Oregon State defense so far. The matchup is not favorable by any stretch of the imagination. Experienced quarterback in Baron Morton, by far the best quarterback they've faced so far. Playmakers all across the board. Big playability, which we've seen Oregon State give up big plays. It's going to take Malik Murphy and that offense continuing to build on what they did in Game 2 and playing extremely well and scoring a lot of points to even be competitive in this game. Otherwise, it could get ugly really fast.
All right, last one for you. It says a lot about who you are on this answer.
Oh,
Breakfast burrito, and chorizo's not an option. Bacon or sausage?
Oh, man. Both.
Wow. You cheater. You cheated.
I mean, that's the right answer.
We take it all.
That is the
Don't eat
correct
burrito.
answer.
I'm with you there. But if you had to choose one, it'd be.
Yeah. No, I won't be a fence sitter. I won't be a both sides are on it. If I had to choose one, it would be bacon, specifically a nice crispy bacon. Sausage can be a little overwhelming. It can be a little upset of the tummy, as they say in the morning, if you go too hard on it. Bacon's more approachable. Bacon's, the red-blooded American thing to enjoy. So I guess I'll go with that.
Look, I don't agree with it, but if you want to know a psychopath, my co-host only eats floppy, uncooked bacon. It's the most disgusting thing ever.
Yeah, I think I remember you guys talking about that before. That's pretty appalling.
To say the least. Tummy problems, they're common. I had enchiladas last night, and the show's been rough this morning so far. So we power through, Ryan. Thank you so much. Have a great flight to Lubbock. Check out his great work at the Oregonian, OregonLive.com, at Ryan T. Clarke on Twitter is where you can follow him. Enjoy the tortillas flying around, and we'll do this again soon. Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely, boys. We'll talk to you later.
There you go. Ryan Clarke of the Oregonian. I love a good tummy problem drop. Who doesn't love tummy problems? Stay away from the sausage. They could cause that. 0-5, you fire him?
Yeah, dude. Yes.
Done.
If you're 1-12 in your last 13, you've
That
shown
has to be it, right?
zero evidence you know how to coach.
Has to be it. And that would be a loss.
You can coach defense, but as a head coach,
you can't do it, yeah.
I mean, I think 0-4, but I know they won't do that. I think 0-5 and lose to Houston at home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you hold on to him?
We might not have enough time for the big pack picks. We went a little long there with Ryan Clarke.
I think we will.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll start our big
North
pack
Texas,
picks.
Wazoo. Do we need?
I mean, that's a thrilling game down in Texas. We'll dive into our big pack picks. Coming up next, Daily Ticker, as always, brought to you by our wonderful friends at Pelican Brewing.